How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. So today I was originally gonna upload the Sword and Shield Steel type only hardcore Nuzlocke challenge, but dear lord does EV training take a boatload of time in that game. So until I'm done with that, we're just gonna be blasting through these legendary speedruns since we're getting pretty close to the end. On the docket today is Suicune, a pure water type in the Star of Pokemon Crystal, which is surprisingly bulky. Having a base 115 defense and special defense along with a base 100 HP will make this thing be able to stand up against a good number of attacks, and being backed by some relatively good attack stats and 75 physical and 90 special, we should be in good hands. Match that with a base 85 speed, and we should be outspeeding most things in Kanto. As for movesets, we start out with Bite and Leer at level 5, but quickly pick up good Stab and Bubble Beam at level 11, and good coverage in Gust and Aurora Beam at 31 and 41 respectively. Lastly, of course, this legendary gets Calm Mind, and in case you forgot, Dark-type moves are special in Gen 3, meaning Bite is going to be a fantastic coverage move throughout the entirety of the run, since otherwise Suicune only gets Water and Ice moves to take advantage of that base 90 special attack, matched with Calm Mind. But enough talk, let's get into the game. So I replaced Squirtle with Suicune since of course it's the same type, so it makes sense to keep my rival with Bulbasaur and eventually Venusaur. We'll still have the advantage over it thanks to the likes of Aurora Beam and Ice Beam, but we'll have to go through 4 or so rival battles before getting either. 3 Bites takes out his Bulbasaur to start out, letting me continue onward. Also, I didn't realize I named both my Lugia from the last video and Suicune the same thing. I was just like, what's the first nonsense word that comes to mind? And here we are. My beginning strategy here was to take out every wild Pokemon I ran into, as well as all of the optional trainers inside of the Viridian Forest, which I didn't hit level 11, but thanks to the junior trainer inside of the gym, I did manage to do it, learning Bubble Beam and letting me sweep Brock's Geodude and Onix with a single Bubble Beam each. Quick win progression, that's what it's all about. Of course, since I have Bite, Misty should be easy enough since Starmie's weak to it, and Suicune resists water. And we get a Person Berry before facing off against her, so it's just a quick hop and skip through Mount Moon. However, there was a bit of forward thinking going into this area. Since later on in the run, I'm going to have Calm Mind, I don't think it's necessary for me to use every rare candy on the path that I'm taking to level up Suicune as much as possible. I can get away with selling a few, not to mention there's a star piece here in Mount Moon as well, which will be great money. Where's this going, you may ask? Well, of course it's going towards the TM for Ice Beam. I want to get that as soon as I walk into Celadon City. And with the sales of the rare candies as well as the star piece, unusable TMs, and various vitamins like PowerPoint ups, I should be in great shape. Once I arrived in Cerulean City and grabbed the rare candy though, it's either a choice of going against Misty first or going north towards the next rival battle. I decided for the latter, as his levels are already appreciated for Misty, but man, he wiped the floor with me here. I can't even two-shot its Pidgeotto, meaning it gets 2 sand attacks off on me, and there's no way I'm getting through a Sleep Powder Leech Seed combo from Bulbasaur like that. So I moved into Misty's gym, taking out her trainers and getting to level 16 before taking her on. She leads with Staryu, who takes around a third from Bite before firing off a Water Pulse for very minimal damage, but I'm able to get a critical hit next turn, taking it out, leveling up, and leading into her Starmie. I have a good amount of HP and a Person Berry held here, so 3 Bites after taking 3 Swifts is enough to put her away, winning the match and letting me move back up to the second rival battle. I try some flinch strats with Bite starting out, as well as giving Suicune a held Oranberry from Route 3, as well as Roar to keep Bulbasaur out until his last Pokemon, but even then, it took 8 attempts in order to beat him. He leads with Pidgeotto, and thankfully this time he goes for 2 quick attacks rather than Sand Attack, letting me KO with 2 Bubble Beams, the first of which being a critical, leading into Bulbasaur. I went for Bite as I have a 10% of flinching, and Sleep Powder is only 75% accurate, so I have a relatively decent chance of getting it to not connect. The flinch doesn't work, but he does miss, letting me follow up with another Bite next turn, getting hit with the Vine Whip, which surprisingly does a lot of damage, but on the 3rd turn I'm finally able to get that flinch, KOing the 4th Bite and leaving just Abra and Rattata. The former comes out, going down to Bite, as the latter takes its place and goes down to a Bubble Beam after connecting a quick attack. Well, as easy as that looked, it certainly didn't go that way most of the time, since Bulbasaur usually connected Sleep Powder during one of the 3 turns that Bite didn't KO it, meaning that it would just set up Leech Seed the turn after and start laying into me with Vine Whip. Not to mention, most of the time Pidgeotto is able to get a single sand attack up, sometimes two, so Bite doesn't have a 100% chance to hit and give me that perfect 10% chance to flinch, but I managed to get through it, and that's all that matters. On the way through Route 25, though, I made sure to get that TM for Secret Power behind the camper, and I had that nice comment from the last video explaining that because of a memory feature from FireRed and LeafGreen, you know, the thing that appears before you're able to continue playing if you load up your saved game, showing where you last were, apparently that remembers the position of the sprites in the game, meaning you can't softlock yourself behind the bush in the trainer, but it can easily happen in Gen 1 if you save behind there. Interesting. Guess you learn something new every day, but I digress. On my way to Vermilion City, I'm able to get that free rare candy and citrus berry, teaching Suicune the TM for Dig over Roar before going into the third rival battle. By this point, I have Rain Dance, which should make it so that I can easily KO Pidgeotto, but unfortunately that's not the case as it's still a two-shot with it. I'm just wasting a turn and giving him the opportunity to hit more sand attacks, so next attempt I don't use it, KOing it in 2 Bubble Beams and getting to Ivysaur, who proceeds to kick the crap out of me with Leech Seed and Vine Whip. Not surprising, but Bite doesn't even do enough damage to really combat Leech Seed, so when it connects, it's game over for me. So I reset and try again, and again, and again, until I get it just right. He leads with Pidgeotto, who does manage to get a sand attack off after a Bubble Beam connects, making me miss next turn. I was going to reset if he hit a second one, but instead he changed over to Gust, doing very minimal damage as I KO'd with another Bubble Beam leading to Ivysaur. Bite of course missed on turn 1, but he decides to go with Vine Whip first instead of a status move. Kinda weird, but it lets me get a flinch with Bite next turn, a miss of Sleep Powder on the next, and a second flinch with Bite in succession before the 4th Bite takes it out, leading to Raticate. Well, that's a relief, but the next 2 Pokemon can still put a hurting on me. Well, unless Raticate decides that Tail Whip is worth his time, it goes down to 2 Bubble Beams, leaving just Kadabra to fall to a single critical bite, winning me the battle and getting cut in the process. Alright, well, we shouldn't have to deal with another one of those rival battles again without an Ice-type move, so I'm very relieved. Before going into the gym, though, I made sure to get Farfetch'd the dumb HM user and the bike voucher, then go in. The puzzle is dumb. Enough said. Fight time, and it does not go well starting off, since I decided I wanted to see if Bubble Beam would KO Voltorb and Pikachu. It does with Voltorb, but only with Rain Dance up. But it's very close, so I decided to see if it was a range on attempt number 2, but I get a critical on Voltorb, taking it out as well as Pikachu with another Bubble Beam, so who cares? It's Raichu time. Shockingly, no pun intended, it outspeeds and hits Thunder Wave, meaning that Dig's at pretty high risk of failing. Unfortunately, it misses thanks to a single double team that he managed to get off while Suicune was underground. Pretty much the least likely way it was gonna fail, but my luck works in strange ways. It pretty much got to the point where I was missing everything thanks to double team, trying to fire off a single Bubble Beam was a curse, with me only landing a single one by the time my Citrus Berry went off. So I had one last ditch effort. Either Dig lands, or I lose. So I go for Dig, managing to go underground, and then connect next turn, KO, and win the fight. Oh, jeez, I didn't expect it to be so difficult, but that Citrus Berry certainly helped me out there. Moving onward, it's time for the stretch. I should trademark that for entertainment purposes. But anyway, it's plug time. First up, definitely make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're less than 7,000 subscribers away from 100k, and I'm super excited about it. And I've got some special projects planned for that point, so make sure we get there, please. I really appreciate it. Next up, of course, make sure to follow me over on Twitter. I'm very close to 1,200 followers, and the more people that are following, the more people that will know whenever YouTube decides to sneeze my channel away on accident. Plus, I talk way too much about pro wrestling, other Pokemon stuff, and stuff I just normally don't talk about on this channel. Lastly, I also have the invite to my Discord server, where I do more of the talking about other stuff I don't normally talk about on this channel, but with actual conversing with people mixed in. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and let's continue. As I arrived in Celadon City, I made sure to immediately make my way to get the coin case, but I only have enough money to get 2,800 coins. I should be able to get the rest from the Rocket Hideout though, since there's plenty of expensive stuff like the PP Up, rare candy, and a calcium, as well as some other healing items and such, so I can probably get away with it. Of course though, that means we've got to beat up Giovanni real quick before heading out. He leads with Onix, going down to Bubble Beam, as does Rhyhorn, shocking, I know, leaving just Kangaskhan. He uses Fake Out to flinch me for a turn, and wow, Bubble Beam is not doing that much at all. so I just swapped over to Bite to at least flinch her out, since Mega Punch was doing some decent damage. I managed to get a flinch on the first bite, so I shifted back over to Bubble Beam, finishing it after taking a second Mega Punch with a critical and win the fight. I'm just gonna be honest here, Kangaskhan is a pretty dope Pokemon. I very much wish there was a normal type representative later on in this game that used this, Tauros, Chansey, and Eradicate. There's quite a few simple but cool normal types in Gen 1. Sure enough, after selling all the stuff from the hideout, I had just enough money to grab the TM for Ice Beam, slapping it on Suicune, and heading into the gym. There's 3 beauties in here which give a lot of money, and sure enough, I can exclusively fight those 3 trainers, get their money, and have plenty enough PP for the fight against Erica. The reason I do this is that I want the Mystic Water from the game corner as well, and that costs another 1,000 coins. Before the battle though, I give Suicune the Cherry Berry as always, then went in. She leads off with Victory Bell, and surprisingly enough, it doesn't fall to a single Ice Beam. So, after it uses Stun Spore, landing and being negated by the Cherry Berry, I just use a second and a Bubble Beam through a Hyper Potion to KO and lead into Tangela. It's a one-shot with Ice Beam, thankfully, leaving just a Vileplume, and hilariously enough, Ice Beam doesn't KO, but it does manage to get the 10% freeze, forcing Erica into a full heal next turn as I KO with a critical bite, winning the battle. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna buy one of those staple buttons so that I can use it for these voiceovers for easy fights. After all, I could use a new gimmick.
That was easy.
So with half of the badges in hand, I ran over to grab the HM for Fly, slapped it onto Farfetch'd, then sold as much as I could get away with, not quite having enough for the Mystic Water, but that's fine for now. Rival Man here gets off easy since I'm out of power points for Ice Beam thanks to her getting to heal after the fight with Erica, so let's see if I can take him on without it. He leads with Pidgeotto, who goes down to a critical Bubble Beam, so that's quite entertaining, with Ivysaur doing the same after a regular and critical bite. Well, we're certainly on the right track. Third out is Gyarados, and since Bite is special, it does decent damage. But somehow I managed to flinch him 3 times in a row, KOing on the 4th and leading into Growlithe. Bubble Beam, of course, takes it out, leaving just Kadabra, who falls to a bite. I mean, I can't say that I didn't like that fight. It sure was full of BS for my opponent, and I'd be raging if that was me, but you know, it's funny when I do it. With that done, I don't have to fight any trainers until I get to the healing spot further up in the Pokemon Tower, healing Suicune and taking out the rest of the dungeon and getting the Pokeflute at the end. We've also got plenty enough money now to get the coins for the Mystic Water, so with that in my possession, the next stop was Fuchsia City, the home of the HM for Surf. Of course, Suicune's getting that straight away over Bubble Beam. A 95 power move is a 30 power increase, and that'll definitely help against Koga. Wish I had Calm Mind for this fight, but it would be kinda dumb for me to have to fly back over to Saffron, take out my rival Giovanni and Sabrina before flying back to Fuchsia, after making the efforts to come down here already. He leads with Coughing, which goes down to Surf, leading to Muck, who goes down to a Dig and a Surf after setting up a single Minimize and Acid Armor, leading to the second Coughing, who goes down just as easily as the first. Last up is Wheezing, and Surf does over half as he lands Toxic, so the second one KOs. Simple as that. Moving on. Since I now have access to Surf outside of battle, I figured it would be stupid to not use my type advantage and go slightly out of order this time, since I definitely think that it'll be faster if I'm a bit more overleveled for Sylph Company and Sabrina. So I take my candy ass down to Pallet Town, surf south, take out the Pokemon Mansion, and then take out the trainers in Blaine's gym since I could use the free money and EXP. Should help out with the fact that I sold off the rare candies. As you could have probably guessed, both Blaine's lead, Growlithe, and Ponyta are one-shots with Surf, but what you may not have guessed was that Rapidash was also a one-shot. Neat, I guess, with the only thing surviving a Surf being Arcanine, barely hanging on and delivering a weak Fire Blast before going down to 2 more after forcing him into healing range. Beautiful. 2 gyms left, decent level advantage for the first, and a great type advantage for the second. Should meld pretty well. Sylph Company is as easy as always, though I did get caught by the spinner on the 5th floor, always a shame, but we'll avoid him next time. Rival Man number 5 here leads with a newly evolved Pidgeot as Ice Beam takes him down into the red, with him only getting a pitiful wing attack off before going down to a second. Second out is Venusaur, which is no surprise, but what is that Ice Beam is a 2-shot, and he misses Sleep Powder, basically giving me a free pass to the rest of his team. Now to not screw it up. Third is Gyarados, who manages to land a few bites and Dragon Rages as I land a few bites of my own, hitting 2 of them before shifting to Ice Beam, using 2 of those to finish it off and lead into second to the last Pokemon in Growlithe. It's an easy KO with Surf, and thanks to his last Alakazam having no attacking moves outside of Future Sight, it's a hop and skip with 2 bites to KO it and win the fight, grabbing the Lapras straight after. While I don't need this for Surf, of course, I still do need Strength to finish the game, and Farfetch can't learn it. A shame, really. But this time I promise to deposit them before the league. I'm not about to pull another Lugia. Giovanni's our next boss fight here, and he's not really too bad, despite changing up the team lineup. First up is Nidorino, who barely doesn't go down to a boosted Surf, but he misses Fury Attack, so it's an easy follow-up Surf to KO and lead in a Nidoqueen. Hilariously, despite Surf being super effective, it does less damage to Nidoqueen compared to Nidorino, using Body Slam and getting the paralysis on turn 1 before I'm able to hit another Surf to take it out. Half his team down and out comes Kangaskhan to wreck my day, but Fake Out and 2 Mega Punches aren't enough to put away Suicune, as I don't get held down by paralysis, KOing it with 2 Surfs and leaving just Rhyhorn. Suicune only has 42 HP remaining, but that's plenty enough to get a Surf through, especially when he wastes his time with Scary Face while I'm paralyzed. Great move there, chump. Hope it felt good throwing the match. Sylph Company's all taken care of now, meaning there's only one battle between me and greatness. Or was it Calm Mind? I can't remember. Sabrina leads with Kadabra, and here's where Bite being a special move kind of comes to bite me in the ass. Literally. See, normally Kadabra, Mr. Mime, and Alakazam would all die immediately to the thought of being bitten by something, but it's not quite a one-shot, letting her set up a Calm Mind of her own, but since Suicune outsped, hitting Bite before that got set up and forcing her into healing range, Bite is a 2-shot from there after a Hyper Potion, taking out Kadabra and leading into Mr. Mime, who gets obliterated with a Bite critical to KO. Half the team remaining, and Venomoth comes in, still not sure why she has one of these when she could have had a Starmie or something better, maybe a Slowbro, but whatever. 2 Surfs does it in, leaving just Alakazam. Hilariously enough, because I go for Bite instead of Surf here, she's able to get into Calm Mind and 2-shot me with Psychic, meaning I have to do it all over again. This time having a little bit more damage on me thanks to the lack of critical on Mr. Mime. I figured using Dig against Alakazam would be the better strategy since it's the only physical move that Suicune has currently, but it does less than Surf as she sets up a Future Sight and Calm Mind. So I go for Bite next turn, and thankfully the critical comes in here, KOing Alakazam and giving me both the Marsh Badge and the TM for Calm Mind, immediately replacing Dig since there's no way I need a physical move again. So, now that the Viridian City gym's opened up, I'm deciding to take a little bit of time to take out of the trainers simply because of my sale of rare candies, leaving me slightly underleveled for the next rival battle in the league. Guess I won't be doing that again for any Game Corner TMs, but since Suicune has the type advantage, it really wasn't that bad, leaving just Giovanni once again. Thankfully, his team's easy to sweep with Calm Mind and Surf, so let's jump into it. He leads Rhyhorn, and it's pretty easy to stand up against, letting me get 1 Calm Mind off and taking a Scary Face, then sweeping his entire team with 1 Surf each. Cue Staples button once again.
That was easy.
But it's not over since there's 6 more battles to do. Honestly, the rival man over here is a lot easier now with Calm Mind, since all I have to do is set up 2 of them on Pidgeot, use a single Ice Beam to KO and lead into Venusaur. Ice Beam does over half as he sets up Growth. Well, so long there, buddy. Third up to bat, and it's Rhyhorn falling to Surf, only for Gyarados to take his spot. Setting up Rain Dance, which is a help more to me than to him, as Ice Beam takes it out in 2 shots. Growlithe and Alakazam remain, as the former comes out and immediately dies to Surf, as the latter comes out and immediately dies to a critical bite. Oh, good game, buddy. Guess you'll need some hella good luck to make it past attempt number 1 in the league. Why is this so funny? Normally these runs aren't funny. He just keeps getting every time. I actually took the time to fight the trainers in the Victory Road, too, making it all the way up to level 54 after grabbing the 2 remaining rare candies that I left back in Fuchsia City and the Sylph Company. Make sure to get your last minute predictions in the comments section below on how much time it'll take Suicune to beat the challenge. Now, let's tear them all a new one. So, Lorelai's a relatively easy but slightly annoying start, seeing as though I can set up 6 Calm Minds through multiple Surfs and Ice Beams, while also taking less damage from Dugong's Safeguard and Hail setup, which then lets me go for Bite. Sure, it's not one-shotting even at +6, but Surf and Ice Beam are not going to help me here whatsoever, and that's what Bite is for. It 2-shots Dugong, having done a third to Suicune as Cloyster comes out second, stalling for a turn with Protect before going down to Bite. Out comes Slowbro, and since 2 of her Pokemon are weak to Dark, it goes down to 1 shot, leaving just Lapras and Jinx. Of course, she sends in the one that's weak first. weird, going down in one bite before Lapras comes in, and unfortunately gets a cheeky win over me thanks to an early body slam paralysis. Well, I guess I should have equipped a berry, but I'm too stubborn and an idiot and go in again. Doing the same strategy of setting up 6 Calm Minds, but Dewgong gets a critical Ice Beam and leaves Suicune at less than half HP before going down. Well, this probably means this attempt is going to go south pretty easily, and sure enough it does. On Lapras. Again. After early paralysis. Alright, well this time I do use my brain, and I give Suicune a Lumberry just in case that bastard decides to paralyze me again. You fool me twice, and that's when I smarten up. I'm telling you. Attempt number 3 goes just as well for the first 4 Pokemon, with Suicune surviving on around the same HP as attempt number 2, taking out Dewgong in 2 bites, Cloyster, Slowbro, and Jinx with 1 apiece, leaving just Lapras. The Citrus Berry that it's holding throws off the math a little bit, but either way, Bite is able to flinch it twice before she heals with a full restore, taking 2 more before using Body Slam for over half Suicune's remaining HP, but of course this bastard has a second Hyper Potion. And since Suicune doesn't feel like being here anymore, gets a critical with Bite before finishing it off with 1 more, winning the battle. Yeah, I didn't feel like being here anymore either, so let's move on. Bruno's a bit of an afterthought here, as he leads with Onix, meaning I can set up Calm Minds pretty easily without being too punished. I go for a single one, getting hit with a Rock Tomb and being slowed, which, surprisingly enough, -1 is enough to basically turn this battle downhill, as all of Bruno's fighting types are now able to outspeed Suicune at -1. So, attempt number 2, and he straight up misses 2 Rock Tombs, letting me set up 3 Calm Minds as he shifts to Earthquake, doing minimal damage with Onix as I go for Surf and take it out. Second out is Hitmonchan, and thanks to Suicune being at regular speed, both it and Hitmonlee are outsped, going down to a single Surf each, leading them to Machamp. Sure enough, +3 special attack is able to put him away, leaving just the last Onix to be utterly obliterated. Better luck next time, buddy. Third on the radar, as always, is Agatha, and she's a bit of a pain here, so I made sure to give Suicune the Persim Berry before going in, since that's the status I'm most worried about. I probably could have gone Lumberry because of the high potential of Toxic Poison, but we'll play it by ear. It takes about 1 attempt before that ends up coming to fruition, so I swap over to the Pecha Berry since I want to save the Lumberry for one of the 2 battles ahead. This doesn't end up working out too well on attempt number 2, as Gengar is able to hold Suicune down enough, and with Golbat poisoning it as a follow-up, I figured I'd reset. Third time's the charm, and I should be able to get it this time. She leads with Gengar, of course, so I trade Calm Minds with double teams with her, setting up 2 of them before she goes for Toxic, being negated by the Pecha Berry and continuing to go for double team afterwards. But I do manage to hit a Surf through a good few of them, KOing and leading into Golbat. The rest of the battle should fall like a ton of bricks, as does Golbat to an Ice Beam after I set up one last Calm Mind, letting her use Poison Fang and get a critical, but thankfully does not poison, going down next turn and leaving her with 3 options. Her Pure Poison Arbok's out next, going down to Surf as Gengar number 2 comes into the mix next. She outspeeds and goes for Hypnosis, but thanks to that 60% accuracy, it misses, going down to a single Surf, leaving just Haunter to go down to a Surf of its own, winning me the fight. 2 more to go, and I figured a Citrus Berry is probably my best held item for Lance. After all, the Mystic Water isn't doing jack all in this fight, so we're just gonna go for Ice Beam. First up is another Gyarados, and I can only survive 4 Dragon Rages before going down with Suicune, hence why we have a Citrus Berry for 30 HP here, allowing me survive 5 instead. From here, I'm able to just set up numerous Calm Minds through Dragon Rage and Bite, using 2 Ice Beams to eventually take out Gyarados, and 1 to take out each of the 2 Dragonairs, Dragonite, and Aerodactyl, leaving just 1 barrier remaining. Hilariously enough, I decided that I didn't even need that Lumberry after all. Could have used it for Agatha, but my brain does not work. Giving Suicune an Oran Berry, since who knows, maybe that 10 HP will come into play somewhere. I'm not doing math unless absolutely necessary. The final battle begins with a massive bird as always, so I set up my Calm Minds, but of course Pidgeotto still has Sand Attack, using it once as it shifts over to Aerial Ace, hitting 2 of them as I set up a total of 3 Calm Minds. I would have reset if 1 more Sand Attack had landed, but fortunately for me, it didn't, leaving me to KO with a single Ice Beam and leading into Venusaur. Surprisingly for me as well, it goes down to a single Ice Beam. I figured this would be a good wall and probably survive one, even at +3, setting up at least something, but hey, I'll take it as Alakazam takes the stage 3rd. It manages to land 2 Psychics as Sand Attack starts to set in, but after the second, Suicune's able to get in that bite for the KO, leaving just half of the team. 2 of which are weak to water though, so it shouldn't be that much of a problem. Fourth is Rhydon, and shocker, it goes down to a single Surf. He decides to throw in Gyarados 5th though, which I guess is fair, since Arcanine can maybe take me out with a critical extreme speed if he does enough damage here. But that's not a problem as Ice Beam 2-shots him, leaving Suicune with just 63 HP after a Dragon Rage, as the Oran Berry has already procced earlier in the fight. Arcanine's out last, and after seeing Extreme Speed, my suspicions of a critical Extreme Speed being able to do Suicune in are affirmed, but only because Extreme Speed does half of my remaining HP as a regular attack, letting Suicune get that last Surf in to KO and win the fight with a time of 3 hours and 58 minutes. That was a bit slow if you do say so myself. I definitely feel like this time, as with all others, could definitely be lowered and optimized with more than a single playthrough or in some carefully planned routing. But for videos that I put together in 2 days, I'm rather happy with a sub 4-hour time in any run. Though I do think we could have gotten close to Jirachi territory if it wasn't for the trade-off I made for Ice Beam and selling the rare candies that I thought was going to be profitable earlier on. But alas, we carry on into the next run, and as we take on the Gauntlet, next time it'll be with Entei. Will the second of the legendary beasts do any better, or will it be walled just like Ho-Oh was simply because it's a fire-type solo run in Kanto? I think you probably know the answer. Find out next time though! If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, tell a friend, and don't spend more than a minute doing that, since if you are, you're taking too long. I want to give a huge shout out to my $10 and above patrons, Justin Dimmenstein, Zachary Keever, Aaron Rhinesmith, Aiden Brannon, Andy Garber, Casper Kirkpatrick, David Dunn, Heinflow, Jacob Johnson, Kyle Campbell, Landon, Michael Evans, Phoenix Fire, and Zeno. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to support as well, you can head on over to my Patreon page, link in the description, where you can get access to stuff like videos early, an exclusive role in my Discord server, link also in the description, challenge requests, and much more. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this, and I'll see you next time with another challenge. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.